Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Industry Forum panel. Please welcome to the stage our host, the president of Premier, Mr. Michael David.
Good morning, everyone. Now, this is the part of the program where most parents are starting to feel what I call the burn. Parents, coffee is your solution. This is the time that we've all been waiting for. We get to our practice day. This is something where everything begins to roll. And as parents know, this time happens so quickly. From this day forward through callback day, it will feel like a blur. What I'm going to suggest to everyone, since this is our 14th time doing this, I'm going to recommend that you try to take as many moments as you can over the next several days and try to take as many mental pictures as you possibly can, because the feeling over the next few days is going to be way above and beyond what you guys have experienced thus far. We have a panel that's coming out here this morning. The panel is here to give you guys a little bit of guidance, tips and advice, to give you a little bit of direction prior to going into your practice sessions. The reason for your practice sessions is not necessarily to teach you something new. It's essentially, kids, to give you some grounding and allow you to apply the things that you have learned from our performers department. Over the many months that you kids have been working with our performers department, some of you have been working with Tawny, some of you have been working with Laura, and some of you have been working with Mr. Drew. These three individuals have worked tirelessly to help all of you get to the point where you are now and give you those tools that you could use for this moment. So what we're going to do with this industry panel is give you just a little bit more advice as you walk into those sessions to ground yourselves and do well for the week. The first industry professional that I would like to bring out is David Doan from CESD. Next, I'd like to bring out Kim Jago. Fatmata Kamara from Abrams Artists. Next we have Stephen O'Connor. Amy Phillips. And Daryl Washington. Now, guys, David's with CESD. Kim is obviously in her own company, Jago Entertainment. We have Fatmata from Abrams, Stephen from Chemically Altered, Amy from iModel Management, Daryl from Global Management 101. So you've got people on this panel who have been doing this for a very, very long time. Probably the combined experience on this panel, I would say, on average is at least 15 years times the many people that are on here. The experience that they have in this business and what you kids have been prepared to do, I think is going to blow them away. We have taken steps to prepare you kids like we have never done before. So I'm very impressed to see how the reaction of these industry individuals, as well as the other industry people that are coming to the program this week, and how they're going to see the transformation. What is important to you guys? I'll start with you, David. What in a performer is the most important characteristic? Is it their personality? Is it a skilled art? What is it that you look for?
It's hard to answer that question in one word. I think a combination of what I look for and what most talent representatives look for is a combination of your personality and confidence. The first thing I notice is confidence in a performer. So that's the first thing that I look for.
So confidence, kids, is something that you have to come to the table with. Your parents can help you, we can help you, but you have to have that belief in self. Just much like Sky Jackson was saying and many of the other celebrities yesterday, you kids have to start with yourself, believe in yourself, bring that into your performance. Kim, what is it that you look for? What's most important to you?
I look for a level of energy, engagement, basically, just this enthusiasm for what they're doing and everything. Also the ability to take a little direction. It's very important for me that I'm able to work very closely with the parents to be able to make sure the children is getting the guidance that the child needs. So it's very important for me to be able to have that relationship with the parent as well.
I know, Kim, that you found a couple of kids that were kind of standouts for you this last program.
Oh, definitely.
Tell me a little bit about some of the families that you've found and kind of where they are in their journey.
I have been very, very fortunate. I've been here before, and the families that I've been working with are just the kids, the families, everything. It's a perfect combination. The Cupid family, which you're very familiar with. The Cupids, it's a brother and a sister, and they have been in classes, and they've been doing auditions and self-tapes for things, and they've been studying with some phenomenal teachers. They are ready for the next step. When I met them, they really didn't have, they weren't ready for that. So it always takes a little while when you start working together. It does take a little while to get there, but they are definitely at that level. Mm-hmm.
Now, they've tested for Disney stuff.
Yes.
They've tested for Nickelodeon projects.
Yep. Disney, Nickelodeon, Nickelodeon especially. I've had them in for a few things with that, so yes.
Nikki, Ricky, Dawn.
Nikki, Ricky. Dickie, and Dawn.
There you go. That's a tongue twister. Fatmata, tell us a little bit about what you look for. You're with Abrams. Back in 1985, Abrams Artists was the very first agency that signed me personally, and I was represented by Abrams from 85 to 93. So tell me, and that was in the New York office, so tell me about your history with Abrams and what you look for.
Okay, well, I've been with Abrams for about 5 years now. Before that, I was with Don Buchwald and Associates, and then TalentWorks. I've been working there with my other staff, Pamela Fisher and Domina Holbeck, and I work with kids, young adults, and some adults as well. Some of the most important things that I look for are pretty much confidence. That's a big thing, and honestly, because you want me to be passionate about you, I want you to be passionate about what you're doing. So I want a kid that wants to be here, that wants to put in the work, that wants to go to classes. I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, this essentially is like a full-time job for kids. We're asking, 5, 6-year-olds to go to classes, and it's not just something that you can just up and do. You have to put in the work as well. So if I'm going to do it, I want someone else that's going to be able to do the same as well.
Passion is something that's contagious. So I akin this situation a lot like any kind of friendship that you'd have in your life or any kind of thing that you would want to do with someone else. You want to like that person. You want to like their personality. You want to like the connections. There has to be some type of, I want to help you. So if you have somebody that comes to you that is overly confident, that's a turnoff too, right? In some ways?
It can be. There's something, I don't know, something I kind of like about overconfidence.
You like the overconfidence?
It can be, to a certain extent.
Got it.
Yes.
Within reason.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Stephen, what are you looking for?
For me, to kind of go on this likability factor, it's about, I just wrapped on a feature actually about 24 hours ago before I got on the plane and came here. And I was on set for 14 hours. I want somebody who's going to be on set with me who is going to be likable, who I'm going to want to be on set with for 14 hours, 6 days a week. But beyond that, I think there's a level of the confidence, the likability, but somebody who makes a choice. Working in a casting office, I think it's important that when you come in, that you really make the material your own. So if you come in and you just say the words, it's like, okay, but what makes you stand out from the person who came in before you, the person who's going to come in after you? I could give all of you the same scene, and you'll all do it just a little bit differently because you're all different people. So I look for people who can bring what makes them a special person in general and how they can bring that to the work. So for me, it's about making the material their own and people who can really make something special happen with the scene or the sides or whatever.
You were the first industry person that I saw at this last program taking pictures with the children that you really liked and putting them out on social media, which I thought was really cool. I've never seen that before. Tell us about your connection with social media and how you see that playing a role.
I mean, social media is such a new frontier, I feel like, in this industry. In the office that I'm working in, we worked on a feature film where the leads needed to have 100,000 followers on Twitter, or we weren't even considering them. And then we have other projects where it doesn't really matter because we just want the best kid for it. Social media is definitely nothing that is ever going to hurt you if you have a following, if you have a strong following. If anything, it's only going to help you. So I think anything that people can do to sort of broaden their scope, broaden their horizons of the people that they have following them and how they can engage with people, I think it only helps build your brand and build up a following. I mean, if you're going to do this and you're going to be doing this for the next 10 plus years, like, you need to cultivate fans and cultivate people that you want or who are interested in following you. So I think, you know, any kind of engagement that you can have on social media, I think, is important.
Do you think that there's a particular formula that producers look at and say, okay, this person has 100,000 followers, this means so much for me?
In a way, I think that we're still in a very new way, but it's like if you have 100,000 followers and you're active on Twitter or on Instagram, I was going to say Snapchat, but that's not what I was thinking of. If you get people who are there and you're active, then I'm like, oh, okay, great. They're talking, they're responding with their fans. They're going to be somebody that when they post about this film and somebody tweets them back and says, hey, what's this film about? They're actually going to engage and they're going to become an ambassador for my film. Whereas if you just have 100,000 followers and you don't really interact, then you're kind of like talking at people. So from a producing standpoint, I think it's very interesting to see who can I get to be involved in my project that's going to be an ambassador for my project as well. I'm obviously passionate about it because I'm producing it, but if you're on the project and you're just as passionate, then I now have an army of people who are being passionate about this project. And the more that we all do to make this one project go further, the better it is for everybody.
Amy, you found a lot of young people here at the program. When Amy first started, she was really looking for teens and up?
Yes, I was looking for models that were 13 to 22.
And now you've broadened that scope because of the type of kids you've found here.
That has changed because of this event, actually. So before I started coming to the event, I only represented models that were 13 and up. I came in, found two twins, the Recupero twins, Lena and Emma, and just really were drawn to them and felt like they were stars and thought, I'm going to give this a shot. And then the last year, they have really blossomed and done so much. They just finished their 4th magazine shoot. They just shot with Steven Osario for a second time, who, for those of you who wouldn't know his name, he is one of the top children's photographers. He shoots for Vogue Bambino, Gap, DKNY Kids, like all the major campaigns for children. So I've been really blessed. These kids are blown up, and it's now opened up these doors for us where I want and am looking for more children to sign that are like these kids that can have a lot of success.
What drew you to them that made you break the rule?
It's hard to explain sometimes because it's a factor. It's something that is unexplainable. But I will say that they're inspiring. I am also a photographer and have been shooting for many years. And when I saw them, they were children that I wanted to shoot. They inspired me. And I knew that if I felt that way, that maybe people like me in my industry would feel the same way as well, and that would bring them work. And that's exactly what's happened.
That's cool. Daryl.
Good morning.
Good morning. You've been coming to this program for a minute as well. Tell us a little bit about what you'd like to see this week.
One of the most important components for me, I agree with my colleagues as far as personality and passion, but my number one characteristic I would have to say would be respect, followed by integrity. I think that is absolutely huge and important and extremely imperative for parents to know that your child can have that look, but if they're not respectful and they're not, there has to be some empathy and sympathy, all those great things and components that make people who they are today. The clients that I found through this amazing company, and it has been a lot, I have found at least 10 whom I share a client with Mr. David Doan as well as Fatima at CSD and Abrams. I found both of my clients here. One shot CBS Blue Bloods, and some shot the Verizon commercial and different things. But what I liked, the parents were all about respect and educating their children. And I think without those two things, you're not going to get far in life. Yes, personality is great. I mean, that's why you're in this business. I want somebody who has that personality and the passion and that can make me smile and make the casting director smile and laugh. But whatever you do, and as parents who is listening to all of us, make sure you are educating your children as a parent and not a friend, because they're going to make lots of friends in this world. They're going to meet people in high school and college, but you guys are their tools, and you should love and support and encourage as the parentals or the guardians. And then as they gradually go along in this path of acting and modeling and go on and so forth, they're going to meet and make their own friends. But I would say definitely respect and integrity is, because we can watch like throughout this week as we're walking around, we can see who's respectful and mindful of others. And I think that's a huge thing for me and what I'm looking for. Obviously you're here, so you guys did something right with the personality. So that's one thing that you did right, and congratulations to each of you.
Industry changes. The industry has changed so much in so many ways, and whenever a giant blockbuster movie like Star Wars comes out, it transcends generations, regardless of whether you want to include the prequels as real movies or not. You have this love for Star Wars, so it has to have some type of impact. Now, you talk about the controversy of what is spoken about online. You've got an African American playing a stormtrooper. You've got a female as a lead. This film is probably going to be the largest picture in history as far as revenue. And all of the spin-offs and the plans that Disney has to make a film a year and all these things. This film is going to have a great impact on projects for everyone and open doors for people of all ethnicities, all backgrounds, all cultures, and give people an opportunity to believe in themselves. Like, I never thought I could be in a Star Wars film because I'm a female, or I am not, your average white male. So tell us a little bit about how you see that impacting the industry, if anybody wants to take that question, because I think it's a good one. Not just because it's coming from me.
I mean, I'll jump into that as someone who works in casting. I've been in casting for over 8 years. The difference in I believe the official term is diversity casting. I've really seen a huge influx and change from when I first started in casting, where everything is really whitewashed, and then now it's really become actively different. So I think Star Wars is great because it's such like a cultural phenomenon right now. But when I watch and look at everything else, I'm seeing so much more diversity in TV. I work a lot in TV, so I think there's still a lot more to go. I think it is still a very white-dominated industry, which is what it is, but the only thing you can do is to keep fighting for it. And I think there's so many things that when you get a movie like Star Wars and it shows, yes, you can have a diverse cast and you can have it be a success, then it's going to prove to people that, yes, you can do it. So don't get disgruntled if you're like, oh, I don't see anybody that I can relate to. it's coming, and just you got to keep pushing for it, and just at least in TV, in the forefront of TV, there's so much more diversity now than there was before. I think that's a combination of people finally realizing that not everybody is white in the world, but I think it's also a combination of the explosion of cable networks and Netflix and Hulu and streaming. They're really opening up to diversity, and I think that's...
Well, there's a way for them to make money.
Yes,
from other
it's all about
cultures.
money. It really is. It's am I going to make money if I make the show? Yes. Okay, cool. How can I have the cast that's going to do that? And I think what's great is you're getting these really strong performers. Like, even if you look at Orange is the New Black, you have a cast that's primarily female, of different ages, because in Hollywood, if you're over 20, you're old. So, you know, you get a show that's wildly popular.
You just blew the dreams of every mom in this room.
I'm sorry, moms. But you get a show like Orange is the New Black that's showing that it's popular, and it's women of different ethnicities, and it's wildly culturally significant. So it can be done, and I think you have to get these trailblazers like Orange is the New Black, or like you take something like Star Wars, and to show people, yes, it can be done, and then once it's been done once, other people are going to say, okay, I can do that. And I think we're about to hit this stride, especially in film and TV, where people are like, I can do that, and I'm going to go do that. And I really think we're about to hit the stride of major diversity in casting.
And there are certain moments within the industry that catapult a sense of motivation to continue creating. It's like when someone comes out with a great film or this amazing painting, it inspires other artists to become artists. It's the effect that, like, Steven Spielberg had on J.J. Abrams, or things like that when you evolve. So the generation that's coming up and watching this is our next generation of actors, our next generation of filmmakers, our next generation of writers and producers, really because of moments like this in cinematic history. That's the catapult that is the special sauce that manifests all of those new creations. Does anyone else want to touch the ethnicity?
I'll say something about the diversity. We are moving in the right direction. SAG-AFTRA recently had put out a diversity initiative for the lower budget movies, which most of them are what we have in New York City. We don't have a lot of the studio movies that shoot from the East Coast. But there's a diversity initiative now that if you have a certain percentage of diverse actors within these movies, you get a tax break. So it is moving in the right direction, and we're starting to see this more and more with everything, including television and the bigger budget films. So
that's really good. The tax incentives that were given back in the 90s to shoot up in Canada and in other places, I know that Louisiana has become a place to shoot. Have you guys heard of any other places that have become popular to film television or make films without Louisiana, other states?
Louisiana, Georgia, Chicago has like all the Chicago PD, MD, Fire, Empire. Yeah, so I like Illinois, Illinois, Georgia, Louisiana are the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
So things aren't just being shot in LA and New York.
Correct.
Anymore.
And so it's also great, you know, I have a good friend of mine, she is an actress, and the last couple of times I've tried to like reach out to her to be like, oh hey, let's have a game night, or let's go grab a drink or whatever. She's like, oh, I'm flying to Georgia, I'm shooting a movie. She's originally from Georgia, and she considers herself to be a local hire, so she books a lot of things in Georgia that she then flies from Los Angeles, that she books in Los Angeles and then flies out to Georgia to get it. So I think if you have connections to any state that filming happens, I think that only, you know, augments your likability and your viability for that project.
And the nice thing, too, is that, you know, with what you're hearing, is that you don't have to be in the New York market or the LA market in order to be in this industry. You can be where you have been growing and remain there. There is the ability to put you on tape, self-tape. If you work with a really good agency, they have the resources to provide you, the right direction and everything, or any representation actually. But the whole point is that you can be where you live and not have to worry about uprooting your entire family in order to try to take a chance at this.
The other thing I'd like to touch on before we transition is the question of, from an agent's point of view. I know you made some great points, Stephen, about how social media is important to casting. How does that play from the agent and manager side, whoever would like to take the question?
I'll jump in as an agent. We actually, because of the direction that everything's going with the social media and the platforms of our actors, we've opened up a social media department. So that's just an indicator that it is a very, very important part of the business now. I know in our commercial side of things, we in our celebrity endorsement departments, there'll be celebrities that can tweet about Lysol or something and they'll make $10,000. It's kind of ridiculous. It's a little bit out of the realm of my understanding of how advertising works, but that is the direction that it's moving. They'll say, tweet or post on Instagram this, and you do deals based on how often and how many times and the products that you're tweeting, and people are now making money off of social media that way. So that's on the advertising side. As Stephen said earlier about how casting directors are looking for people with large platforms or social media followers, that's become a huge part of what I do for a living now as well. So there are specific projects that want that. That's not everything. Some projects still want the best actor, but if it comes down to two people, and I've seen this happen, and one has maybe 200,000 followers and one has 50,000, they're going to go with the 200,000 followers person because that's advertising for them.
Yeah, and you almost have this built-in audience suddenly, but what's important, what I believe Stephen had mentioned, is this, what we call points of engagement. Points of engagement is something that these marketing companies are looking for, where there's interaction taking place. It's not just about, I'm sure some of you have heard about how you can buy followers. You never want to buy followers. It's unnecessary. It's a waste. And it actually makes your entire following come into question. So what you want to do is you want to have points of engagement, but naturally with social media, parents, you have to be very involved, be very diligent of what's going on, who's following your children, because you just don't know. So you have to be very cautious. You have to be very involved with what's taking place.
Guys, what we'd like to do at this point is thank our industry panel for being here. What we're going to do now